So let's start off. Now, I asked you a question here of what your favorite animated movie is. This is
Oh,
because in uh, a different life of mine, I would have been a an animator for Disney. Like that was my dream job growing up. So I ask
that's,
all my players what their favorite animated movie is. So same question goes to you.
I not positive on that one, but I think it would probably one that's up there at least is Surf's Up. Have
Surf's
you seen
Up.
that?
I haven't
Yeah.
seen Surf's Up. No. Wait, is that the
Haven't?
one with the penguin?
The penguin that surfs
Yeah.
coach.
All right. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that one.
I like
Yeah, Shia
I like
LaBeouf.
that one.
Isn't he?
Yes,
Isn't he
I
the
like that
penguin?
one.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good answer. When did you kind of identify that playing at the next level was a goal of yours?
For me, I actually always wanted to play professional soccer, even though I
Okay.
didn't get there. But I never thought about what that meant really until I was trying out for Northstorm, and I remember I was signing myself up online and everything. And so that was Northstorm's out of Traverse City, and they had a little survey on there, and it was like, "Do you want to play college soccer?" And it was just like on the side, and it was like yes or no, and I clicked yes. And I was like, "What even is college soccer?" I don't think about school, and I'm in eighth grade, so you'd think that I probably would have some knowledge of that. Um, and so I clicked yes, and then I kind of like I think that sparked something in me where I was like, oh, like I'm playing D1 now. Like that's what I'm
Okay. So you went
and
from straight to, hey, I just realized that college soccer is a thing and I'm going big. I'm going big
yeah.
right off the bat.
Like we were only going big. If we weren't going big, we weren't playing.
Okay.
Um and I don't like there's definitely other routes you can go to
Hmm.
also get to the D1 route than just being like I'm playing D1. But so that's when I realized that I wanted to play, I guess. I think it had to be in my brain before that, but that's the moment that I vividly remember clicking, yes, I'm playing college soccer
Okay.
on the screen.
You know, that moment that you were like, yeah, this is a thing that I'm
That's
like
the next
actually
step.
going after because it's a
Yeah.
little bit different when you're talking to, a second grader in school and you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they tell you that,
Yeah.
they want to be a mountain man on Mars or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like, so, but then there's that moment where you really start to think about what you want to do when you grow up and like real
Yes.
tangible goals, things to
Yeah.
go after. So for you it was eighth grade. You checked that
Yeah.
box of I want to play college soccer, and then
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it light bulb went off, and from there,
And then I
okay.
was obsessed with playing Division One. And I was like,
So
I'm playing
what do you
Division
think
One.
changed at that moment for you then?
Um, I think it was just knowing that I needed to, because I only played rec league. I didn't play club until until high school.
Okay,
So that's different than most people. Like at least the people that are downstate, they have access to clubs year
sure,
round
yeah,
normally, and like at a much younger age. So I was like, okay, I need to play for a club, and the nearest club was, um, well, there was one in Petoskey too, but I played in Traverse City for North
okay,
Storm. I think I got really lucky and I got really good coaches from North Storm. And then that's kind of when I started learning like more of the formation style of things, which is also a little late to learn that stuff when you're already in high school. Like
definitely.
most kids already know your role, but like I don't think I really learned that until honestly some of it not even till college,
Hmm. Yeah,
which
yeah,
put me at a disadvantage big time.
yeah. One of my first uh interactions coaching in northern Michigan
Hmm.
was I had a group of seventh and eighth graders, and I asked them to all line up on the 18, and they were all looking around like, what are you talking about? They literally didn't know the terminology of just the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
And
I my dad was my coach. I'm not gonna yeah, I did learn the 18.
well, that's good. That's good. But I just that was a big light bulb moment for me that, that
Yeah.
wasn't their fault. Like I was a little shocked at the time that
Yeah.
that they didn't know that, but soccer, soccer's it wasn't really it's starting. Soccer's starting to be a thing in northern Michigan, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit behind from downstate and
Hmm.
how
Sure.
much time are you going to really spend at a practice telling telling kids, what the lines on the field,
meant.
meant,
Yeah.
but it was worth doing. It's worth bringing them along so that when they do end up in an atmosphere on a college campus, um,
Yeah.
and the coach is talking to them in terminology of, numbered positions and things like that, that they really do understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, you said there was things that like you still felt a little behind on when you got into the college atmosphere. What type of things were those?
Formation, 100%.
Okay.
I feel like I feel
Well,
like when I went to college, I was always kind of like the star on the field throughout high school
hmm
almost. I don't want to call myself a star in like a cocky way, but like I just always was very passionate about soccer. So when I had a lot more freedom, I guess, and so I could do much more with the ball. But then when I got to college, like, no, you're like probably pretty much going to be just in the role you're supposed to play. Like,
sure.
um, so I feel like just learning my role more of like I knew my role, but I didn't know every little movement. And there's so much more than just like, oh, I'm in the middle of the field and I'm distributing the ball.
Right. Definitely. Player roles is a really important one. That's something that like in high school soccer, a lot of the tactics for teams are let's get the ball to our fastest player or the player that has the hardest shot and just let them go,
Do their
right? It's not
And
like
that's fine. It might work there, but it's not going to work at a higher level.
I agree. It wins games. It can win
Yeah.
high school games, but it doesn't necessarily create better soccer players, right?
Yeah.
So, identifying those player roles. So then once you got into that college atmosphere and you started to identify your role, where did your role end up being? Like you probably played like from goal line to goal line in
Yeah.
reality, right? You just
Yeah.
kind of went wherever the ball was. Megan was close by.
Yeah.
Um, so then you get into the college atmosphere and you started to kind of just worry about your space on the field, right? Where
Yeah.
was your spot on the field?
So I was a defensive center mid and I also was an attacking center mid. So
Okay.
kind of like I was a freshman. We were still, I also was a freshman during COVID, which is a
Ah,
big
right.
difference
Yeah.
because we had 8 games and like it was just different than a normal regular
Sure.
season. Um, but so I think we're since with being a freshman, we're still trying to find what one was actually my role.
hmm
Um, and I mean, all college I played different roles too, but we'll say I did defensive center mid the most, and it was just more of like putting a body on the player that I had to roll, like a body on, yeah, on the player, I guess, that and to strip the ball from them that way rather than just getting the ball passed to me and then me doing something
hmm
with it. Um, like winning the ball, which was not really
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah, I had to win the ball in high school, but like it was like you're winning the ball and you're being pushed to the ground to win this ball.
right, right. So you decide that, hey, I want to go the route of playing college soccer. And for you, you had a goal of you even amped that way up to I want to play Division One.
Mhm.
Um, when did you start talking to coaches, talking to schools? How did you let players know that, or coaches know, programs know that Megan Scholten is out here and is going to help your team?
Yeah. So freshman year, there was a girl from Elk Rapids actually too that was a year older than me, going through like the same stuff. So her family was super helpful to us. She played at Valparaiso, so they like kind of guided us, and she ended up playing to in Grand Rapids too. Her last couple high school years, but um, what changed a lot? Freshman year, I tried out for the ODP Regional Midwest team. My the winner of freshman year, and then sophomore year, so then that went on through like the summer and then the following fall. And in the fall I ended up making like there's a bunch of cuts and everything like you had to go through. And in the fall I ended up making the Midwest regional team, and that was like the most college coach exposure I probably got at once because there's just in general, there was a lot of coaches there. But my coach specifically was a Division I coach
Okay.
he was running the Midwest regional team. And
Who was that?
it was, okay, I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Marcus, and he was the coach at Marquette University in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Um, and I remember asking him, it was like the regional pool. So it was all like this is before I made the Midwest team, but we were all, there's like 200 girls and we were all trying out and it was O1s and O2s and I was an O1. Um, and I remember we had like one-on-one meetings at the end of camp and I was like, do you think I'm a Division I player? And he said yes to me. So that also really built my confidence. And that was the summer going into sophomore year.
Okay.
Um, but also I didn't have the exposure and he did talk about that like I needed higher competition probably to really get looked at.
Did you go out and contact a bunch of coaches and programs that you felt like you were interested in, or did you let them come to you? Was it a blend?
It was no, they definitely did not come to me. I'll say
Hmm.
that. I junior year was when it started getting really serious, I'd say. Sophomore year though, when I was on the ODP team, like I had coaches that would talk to me they were Division I teams, Division II teams. I guess some of them would come to me, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. Like I was more looking for like a higher Division I program. And that's going to be pretty hard when you're not playing on a high division, like not, no, just a high club team in general.
Hmm.
Um, and but I had to contact like all these division if it was a Division I school, I most likely contacted them first. And I was like, this is so at this Midwest camp or the regional camp when we would play other regions, there'd be a list of coaches and their emails that they would send you before you went there. And I just would like spam all the Division I coaches with emails and like send them any highlights I had or anything. You would try to call them. Basically, you're just trying to get any sort of conversation other than you can come to our ID camp. But yeah, it was just trying to get on the phone with them was the main thing instead of just because that's the most like personal you can probably get and you want to have a
For sure.
connection with them. But so I was talking to coaches starting sophomore year, but I don't think I really started talking until my junior year. And I went to a couple of ID camps my junior year. But the thing with ID camps, if you're going to go to one, you should really have connections with the coach before you go. It's
Oh my
not like
goodness. You're
just yeah,
oh,
just because he emails you back an invitation to their camp, it's not that they're interested in you. Like
Megan,
that's a
preach. Preach.
yeah,
I think that this is something that's really important for a lot of players and parents to understand, because ID camps are, listen, my opinion, they're fundraisers, right? They're
they're
fundraisers
money
for these
makers.
schools. And unless you've had a coach personally reach out to you and say, "Hey, I saw your video or I saw you play at this place. I'd love to see more of you come to our camp, so we can see you in person," then really you need to think of it as I'm just going to an open tryout where the likelihood of me turning this into a spot on a roster is going to be very, very slim.
You have to like absolutely stun them. And I actually have an ID camp story because I talked to there was an ID camp and it was a Big 10 school and they had other Division I schools coming to that ID camp too. So I had a connection with the Big 10 coach, so I emailed him because I somebody else knew him and so they like personally knew him, so that's how I got set up with him. And then I also was emailing another school that was coming to this. That was another Division I school. And so I was kind of more leaning towards the school that was coming to this Big 10 school. But anyways, when I got to this ID camp, I had so many conversations with them before. Like they knew me by name and everything, but like we never met in person. And right off the bat, I was still a junior, so I'm not playing in Grand Rapids yet. I was playing in Traverse City still, and they had us split into two groups. And it was one group which was ECNL and DA girls, and the other group was just like lower level league girls. And so from my application that I submitted, I was a lower level girl technically. So like they're not really looking at you if they put you in that group right away.
Right.
That's why they they split it up into two groups because they're trying to just look at the highest competition. And so anyways, they like let the lower level girls play and everything. We like did our thing. And then the higher level girls, they went to go on their campus tour because that's normally what you do at an ID camp too. And so after I play, I'm on my campus tour and the coach like tracks me down and he goes, "Is Megan Scholten in this group?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "You're supposed to actually be in this other group." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So then I had to play, which was great because I got more exposure to them
Sure.
technically.
Yeah.
Um, but I had to play like a whole nother extra 2 hours when I already played my hardest in front of these coaches when I was playing with the
I
lower
mean, you
level
had
group.
to have a little shot of adrenaline at that point, though, right?
Yeah, I did. I was terrified a little bit. Like it was just a lot. And then so that was a whole day's worth of soccer. Never got to see the full school. But yeah, and then so he ended up pulling me aside at the end and like apologized for not putting me in the right group. And I was like, "Thank you." And then yeah, we had some talks. I obviously didn't end up going there, but and then I talked to the other Division 1 school that I was looking at too. But like that's what I'm saying. Like they already have you kind of
For sure.
categorized.
Yep. Um, yeah, good. I'm glad that that came up because I get a lot of that and I understand it too because players from around our area are trying to figure out how do I get the most exposure in front of in front of these coaches.
Yeah.
It doesn't really like just because you came up with one moment one time doesn't necessarily mean we're looking at you. So
Yeah.
you need to film every time that you're playing soccer. You need to get it on film and you need to compile your best moments and those best moments need to look like I can pluck you off of this field and put you on the field that you want to be on.
Yeah. Um, so film was like a tricky thing for me. Um, my dad was my savior. He would literally, we didn't have, since I played for North Storm, they
Mhm.
didn't have the big like filming things that some people have. I don't
Yep.
know what those are
Yeah,
necessarily.
now you're seeing the VO cameras and you're
Yeah,
seeing
VOs.
huddle and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, even parents with, they've got big tripods hoisting up iPhones and iPads and stuff now.
Yeah.
So,
My dad would come to my games and film on his iPhone
yeah,
every single game, the whole entire game for 45 minutes each.
my
And
goodness.
it was like God bless his soul. But that was really helpful, I'd say. But a problem I did keep running into, and like this is not being like if you're from Northern Michigan, you're gonna run into the same problems, but it most likely is gonna be your problem too, I would assume. At least it was mine, is that every time I would email my stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, this is great, but we need to see you play at a higher level."
Mhm.
And then I'd be like, "Great, like this is where I'm from." And then so that's where going to the ID camp sometimes. I can't remember if I said this, but I think I only went to three my entire like recruitment
Okay.
process. I was talking to multiple coaches. Like I wasn't just talking to three Division 1 coaches. But I only went to three ID camps, and each one I had a prior connection with. And that was more to show that, like, to prove to them that I could play at a higher level and show them, like, in person, like, hey, you're putting me with the best girls, and like, let me show you that I can play against them. And a lot of times at ID camps, they'll have their college girls come in and play against you too.
Mhm.
So it's like you're literally being like placed next to your future teammate at that
Sure.
point.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so film was really important. I would say I mean, when I went to that Midwest regional thing, that was probably the best film I had because the competition was higher. Um, but then also, like, I had some crazy high school goals where it was like those were really good eye-catching moments. So I'm not just saying just because you're playing at a lower level technically that you can't do it. It is just that much harder though.
Sure. Sure. Um, One of the things that I think players from up here are really missing out on are the tryout atmosphere.
Hmm.
We live here in an area where if you show up, you get a jersey, and
Yeah.
half the time we're begging people to show up just so we can fill a
Yeah.
roster. Um, and I there's just something so good about having to show up to a field and there's 100 kids there trying out to make one team.
Yeah.
Um, and so it sounds like you did put yourself in that environment a little bit to stack yourself up against other players when you went to ODP
Yeah.
tryouts and when you went to some of these other places. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me about like the first time that you got yourself out into a true tryout atmosphere. Would that have been ODP for you?
It was actually, so I tried out for ODP. I want to say I was 11 years old.
Okay.
And so that was like before we are even thinking of college
Mm-hmm.
soccer, obviously. But like I said, I was like, the goal was pro soccer. And there was like hundreds of girls at this, and we're 11 years old, so like what do you really expect out of it? I'm sure that there's some little baller 11-year-olds, but most of us probably look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And um and I remember I got cut actually, and that's the only time I ever remember being cut. So I got cut from a very young age, and I wanted to make this team so bad, and I was absolutely devastated from it. And I like after that, like I kind of forgot about it for a little bit. And then in high school, I was like, wait, why am I not doing this? Because now it matters. Like I feel like when I was younger, ODP was more because there was a chance you could get on the that was more advertised towards like be on the US youth national team type of thing.
Yep.
Um, and then but now I think it's more like showcasing to college coaches, but it's also a little bit of both. I'm not really positive. I don't know how much it's changed, but I know it's changed a lot in the past years. But so then in high school, I was like, wait, all these college coaches are doing this. Like, why am I not on this? This is even something that like isn't just Northern Michigan behind my name. Like this is like a bigger thing that I can be like, I did this. Um, and so I tried out again freshman year, like I said, and then I ended up being on the Midwest regional team my sophomore year. So, but the first cut, that was a brutal cut.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Sure.
really that was really hard for little Megan to take.
Yeah, I mean it's good though, right? Like I
Yeah.
keep trying to tell players how good it is to like I was cut too in
Yeah.
different at different times and
Yeah.
it's a great it's a great sifting tool because you're going to either have players who are motivated by that and say that okay, I got cut and I'm never getting cut again. Now I know
Yeah.
what it takes to be a part of this team and what I have to
Right.
look like to make this team. So from there on out, you put in the work, or you see kids, players just decide, well, I got cut, so see you later.
Yeah. I
Um,
think there's also different ways of looking at getting cut because, like, yeah, you can get cut from a team and just literally not be on a team. But also, when you even think about like the starting lineup, like you can be playing in the starting lineup all year, and then all of a sudden, one game, they're like, nah, we're not interested in you this round. So it's like that's even hurtful too. It's like, wow, okay, what do I need to do?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, just coming from the life of a goalkeeper, it's like you don't get subbed in
Yeah.
for, for 6 minutes, 8 minutes and hope to grow
Yeah.
that pot of
Mhm.
minutes that you get. It's like you either get all of the minutes or you get none of the minutes.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
that's really tough too for some of these goalkeepers that I've
There's
got.
only one of you.
That's it. There's just one of you. And when a coach has a goalkeeper that everyone can trust and you guys are winning games, like that's it. You don't change
Yeah.
up that recipe. And
Yeah.
sometimes players, it's really easy for us as players to go, well, I had a better practice than this other person for a couple weeks now in a row, and it's well, that there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like you said, you can get cut at different times, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite soccer highlight out of your career?
Um, this one makes me happy. So it's probably when it's from high school. Like, I mean, I would say something like I loved making the ODP team. Like that entire experience was very like amazing to me. Um, and then or there's like my first college start, and then there's also like my college goal and stuff. Like those were all very memorable, but it was probably high school when I played soccer with my sister Abby. Um, like I was very committed to soccer and Abby was more playing for fun.
Okay.
I remember we were playing Elk Rapids, and there's a couple stories like this, but this one's specifically the best. Um, we I scored 1-0, and it was the only goal of the entire game. And so we're all celebrating on the field, like everybody that was in the game. We're like, "Yay, let's go, let's go!" And I can hear Abby on the sidelines from the bench yelling, "That's my sister! That's my sister!" And she's like kicking her legs up and everything. And that one was that's probably forever. Like, I love anything that was related to Abby, honestly.
Nice. That's cool.
But
So,
yeah.
um, just to think about the dynamics here. So, you're playing high school soccer, your sister's on the team, your dad's
Mhm.
the coach.
Yeah.
Like you're you've got a lot going on there, but I can't help but to think you're telling me that your sister's on the bench and you're on the field. So how did that how did that
It was good.
complicate the relationship at all?
No, it wasn't like I think she cared, but she is just kind of like there for fun more.
Sure.
And she was a she doesn't give herself enough credit. She was a pretty good soccer player. And I loved playing with her. And it was
Nice.
the best. The other like good memories were like I would get pushed over. Like I was I would just always get pushed over. They'd always draw fouls though, so it was good. And Abby would all of a sudden start yelling at the girl. And I'm like, dude, stop. And she'd be like, Megan, you gotta have my back with those. I'm like, you just can't yell at them. Like it's fine. Like I'm getting pushed around. It's good. Like
Nice. That's fun. All right, what about the other side of it? You got any soccer lowlights of like, you know, something that you don't want to relive, but I'm gonna make you relive it here?
I actually, when you sent those questions, I was like, I don't know like one thing specifically. Like
Okay.
there's things I wish because I feel like everything that was like a low light, I learned from in a way. So like it kind of was a good thing in
Sure, but
another.
there wasn't that PK miss that would have sent you guys through to a final somewhere, or man, I wish I would have had that opportunity back. There's
Yeah,
none of those
that,
moments stick
that
out, or did you
yeah,
just
there
bury
is
them and forget them?
I both. I mean, like I don't want to remember those. But like I feel like they happened when I was so young, so I was still learning. Um, One, I guess I remember I was guest playing for I think it was called Vardar, or maybe it was called Vardar NM at the time. I don't know if that's still a thing in Northern Michigan, but I was guest playing and I did USA Cup in Minnesota with them. And we were in the finals. And so I'm their guest player and I scored the PK to get us to the finals because we drew a PK and it was like tied 1-1 or something. And then I oh, so then we go into PK shootout eventually because like nobody scores. And I missed the PK and the PK shootout. And I don't think I was the only one that missed, but if I was, I'm sorry and to all those girls. But I did miss my PK and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so not good.
So,
But,
just to clarify, you missed the entire frame, or the goalie made a save?
um, well, it hit the crossbar.
Oh, okay. All right. Split the difference then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you decided that, hey, I want to play college soccer. I want to play D1.
Mhm.
What type of training did you put in then? Um, because I got a lot of players around the area who unfortunately are under the impression that if I just kind of play a couple months in my high school soccer season, that's going to be good enough.
Yeah.
So my question to you is you have your team oriented things. You've got your games, you've got your practices that are set up with your team. You were a player that was playing at club and high school, but what did you do outside of the team stuff um, to help you reach that goal?
Um, so I was also, I think I give a lot of credit for being on the cross country team.
Okay.
I think that kept me just like I was a midfielder, so I had to run a lot of miles. Um, but then also like I remember I would work on my sprinting form too a lot because you don't want to just be long distance either because you have to have the fast twitch muscles. So I would work with the track coach at the time and
Oh,
he'd
okay.
show me. like sprinting stuff that I can do to make sure that was staying intact. And then I went out and played with Coach Walkler a lot, like a lot, and he kind of taught me like the fundamentals of like footwork and everything. Like
Okay.
even if it's toe taps, for example, like those are good and like
Getting
it's just it's
familiar
the
with a
little
ball,
thing. Yeah, it's the
right?
little thing.
Yeah.
Like I would do that all the time. And then like it came to a point where it's like, okay, I've learned this and now I'm like I have the ball in the living room 24/7. I'm like sisters would always be screaming at me because I'd be kicking it against the wall, for example. And it'd be so annoying, but I mean, I had to do what I had to do. Um, and so I honestly had a ball at my feet like year round probably. There was always a ball in the living room. And I'm not saying that's the what you have to do, but there it was a lot of doing things on my own too, outside of these organized events. Like it wasn't just go to practice, you're good. It was like go to practice. Maybe you take practice a few extra shots or more at the end. Going through cones a lot. Just even the little things, I think like those are you have to control the controllable. So like do the little individual things that you can do by yourself that are without a team.
Sure. Um, did dad force you to do that?
No.
No, that was just
No, that was all on
that
me.
was Megan driven.
Yeah, it's I think it's always been pretty me driven.
Okay, good.
And only I think it's actually probably only been driven by me.
Cool. For a player that is maybe entering high school, um,
Mhm.
and wants to play at the college level, what piece of advice do you have for that player?
Um, I think whatever you're doing, always put your best foot forward and like always do something with a purpose and understand what you're doing too. It's not just like moving through the motions. Um, like I'm trying to think of an example, but like you're going through a drill and it's like clean up a touch here to get the touch so then it's faster play over here or something like this. Like or take the longer touch here so then you can separate yourself here or something like that. But it's really useful to know what the purpose of each drill probably is and um, how this can advance your play because then that will translate to even like your soccer IQ. It'll make your soccer IQ that much stronger.
Let me ask you this: do you think that you had any teammates playing for Memphis, playing for Central, playing in Maine? Did you have any teammates there that you felt didn't put in that same amount of effort, didn't live on a soccer ball as a kid? Um, how many players do you think are were on that roster that were just like, yeah, no, I was born this good, and so now I'm playing.
Oh, I don't think anybody was born as good as like you don't just get there. Like every single girl is always super passionate about the sport and they didn't just get there just by like being good. Like
Mhm.
they had to put themselves out there too. I just think from coming from Northern Michigan, you have to put yourself out there that much more. Um, but yeah, definitely nobody was just there just to be there. Like it was a huge time commitment and you don't just do that. Like I don't know why you would put yourself through some of those conditioning practices
Sure.
just to be there.
Yeah, one of the things that I try to get across to players is just the level of sacrifice that
Yeah,
it can take at a young age. When you are when you make that decision that I want to play at the collegiate level, I want to play, beyond high school, or even I just want to be a really good high school player. There's a
yeah,
level of sacrifice there that comes along of, um, well, I'm going to sacrifice hanging out with my friends on the weekend because I'm going off and doing extra training. And
yeah,
you put other things aside that other high schoolers don't necessarily put aside because you have a goal. Do you find that to be accurate? Would you say
yeah, for
that
sure.
as a high schooler you had to sacrifice some things in order to reach the goal that you had set for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I had a game every single Saturday, and like, I really cared about soccer, so I was like, I was going to bed on time and stuff. the your teammates kind of just those are your friends. Like I'm not you can have teammates that I mean you can have friends that aren't your teammates and everything, but especially when you get to college, like my friends from college are the girls I played soccer with. And maybe there's a few other friends from other teams too and like a few other people, but like my bestest friends have always been through soccer. And that's just how it is. Like your teammates are your friends.
Yeah, I mean, you become a family, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's more than just being a team. I still got some of my best friends to this day are kids that I played high school soccer because we spent
Yeah.
all the time. Like, if we didn't have a team thing going on, we took a bag of balls and we were up at the field and we were
Yeah.
playing and passing and shooting and doing all the things.
Yeah.
So, um, cool. So what would you say the biggest challenge of being a soccer player from northern Michigan? What would you say that biggest challenge is?
It's 100% just the exposure thing. Like
Exposure.
it's like I think if you have the drive, you can put in all the work you want and everything. And like I do know there is a girl that's from Traverse City and she played in Traverse City always throughout her entire like high school career. And she didn't have to go to Grand Rapids or anything, and she ended up playing at CMU. So like she did make it to the Division 1 level. So it's 100% possible. But the exposure part is like a huge thing, and you have to like overly put yourself out there. Just like even like college coaches, like sometimes I'd end up talking to them and like I'd actually get like on the phone and everything, and they'd be like, "You just play at such a low level," and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
"I don't."
something that I don't think enough players realize that um, just because you might score 20 goals a season
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean that you are the caliber of player that they're looking for, right? It's like you
yeah,
got to score 20 goals a season, but you also have to show them that you are capable of doing it at
at high
any
level.
level against any opponent.
Yeah. And it's also, which I mean, this is an easy fix, but not an easy fix. Some of it was even like they're like the ball is not moving fast enough, but I can see that you're playing in really rough like grass. And so like normally at the college level they have nicer grass where the ball can zip around faster. And I did get that comment a couple times too, because they're like, we can see that you're like hitting it hard, but like it's not moving as fast as it probably should be. And I was like, the ground's really uneven here.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
that's something I really just don't have control over.
Um, all right, so we've talked about some of the negative things that some of the disadvantages to being a soccer player in Northern Michigan, but would you say that there are any advantages to to playing in Northern
Yeah.
Michigan?
Um, I think if you're more of like a standout player, obviously like you're gonna be getting more touches on a ball and like for example, if you even had somebody like you, Sean, like the somebody that can like put their attention on you specifically is really helpful because like you're not necessarily competing for a spot at that point. You're learning to be the best version of you at a certain degree. Even though it is a team sport, like sometimes that like you're like I'm not sure how accurate this is, but not all the time your entire high school team is going to be completely invested. So sometimes it really is just working on yourself. And so when you have somebody that like I did in high school, that can like pick apart your game individually, and then you can literally like you don't have to question your playing time the next game, really. Like you're like, okay, like I'm gonna be able to try this out type of thing. So
Right.
I guess that is an advantage there. Learning how to like move the ball or like your footwork and stuff, like you got a lot of time and a lot of touches um with being
Yeah, small roster means that
yeah.
you get a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
playing
what
time,
I'm
right?
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially even in the world of, we see a lot of freshmen on varsity teams up here because there is
yeah,
no freshman and JV team. It's
right.
just a varsity team. So you get that exposure to older players, a faster pace of play,
Hmm.
where some of these bigger schools, you spend a year on the freshman team, then maybe a year or two on the JV team, and then potentially get your minutes on a varsity team, and you get
Yeah,
to hop right into the mix, right off
yeah.
the bat. So okay, do you have any advice that you've had from a mentor? This doesn't necessarily have to be soccer related. Doesn't necessarily have to be a coach. Maybe it's even just a peer. But like, do you have any piece of advice that just has really stuck out to you in life that is worth passing on to other players?
Yeah. I feel like all my advice I probably got from sports in my life. So I've like the one thing is always control your controllables because you can't like especially when you get to the higher levels, it's really hard. Like you're not the one making the starting lineup type of thing. Um, and you might really think you deserve that, but like at the end of the day, like you can't let that get so into your head. So then going off like control the controllables, enjoy your time while you're playing. Um, but also like then I come back to like you gotta have high standards. So sometimes it's really hard to have high standards and when you're not meeting those to enjoy your time. But yeah, I guess it's always just control the controllable. So then at the end of the day, like you put your best effort in and if that's what you got, that's what you got.
Sure, sure. Um, Tell me a little bit just about the Division One environment. Um, like you, there's obviously there's a leap there, right? Going
Yeah.
from Charlevoix's high school field and high school program to now I'm on campus at Memphis and I'm going into my freshman year and like what's that like? You show up for the first, team meeting, team practice. What Tell me a little bit about that
Um,
environment.
well, I feel like I had a good idea of what it would be like because we did like I went to the ID camp and then after the ID camp they like gave me a personal tour of the school and everything. So like I knew they were interested. And then sorry, I'm just gonna explain Memphis in general at the
Yeah,
beginning.
no, you're
Um,
fine.
and then okay, so then they offered me a spot on the team in September of my senior year, which again is really late. Um, because I was a very late commitment in general. I didn't know what I was doing in the recruiting process and we didn't know like my parents and we just didn't know how much really went into this or how to get there or how hard it would be. Um so then I ended up committing in February though. So like I had the spot, like it was a walk-on spot technically,
Mhm.
because there was no like at that point there was very low athletic scholarship money because I was such a late commitment.
Mhm.
Um, but so then I was a walk-on spot at Memphis and I committed in February. But the one thing is if sometimes fitness just comes very naturally to some people. I've always thought of myself as a very fit person. The fitness tests are no joke in college, especially when they pass to play.
Sure, sure.
So I did pass mine, but they're a doozy and you have to like they give you a summer packet before you come in. Or just like a fitness packet in general. I think I got mine in May, so I had like a month or two to work on it and just get as high as I could on that and like work as hard. And that's like that's different level sprinting. Um, and yeah, so then we like learned the team through July, like how they work, and we met the coaches obviously, but we weren't really allowed to run official practices until August 1st. So then um, we started doing those. But like I think the biggest difference between being in high school and being in college was that you have like a strength packet, you have a conditioning packet, you have and then you have your soccer. So there's weights, running, and soccer practice, and you do that all in one day. And that was like I wouldn't say it was a shocker to me. Like I always knew that was going to be the case, but is it's not how I was like training in high school, obviously. Like you don't I think that's also another thing that's becoming more popular is that people are preparing more for that because that's more of like a known thing you should be doing. But yeah, I think if I did do like that, definitely had the running and the soccer practice done, but the weights program, like that, this might sound ridiculous. I put on 15 pounds my freshman year
Oh
of
my goodness.
college
That's a
because
different freshman 15 for sure.
yeah, it was literally from weight training. And
Wow.
I remember the strength coach, he was like, Megan, you are like, you were little when you came in and you're not that little anymore. Like I was, well, he didn't mean it like that, but
Yeah, no,
like
I know what you mean. Yeah. You
it was just like I built so much muscle
yeah.
through freshman year.
Wow. Cool. What about the environment, the training environment? What was it like to get on the field with those players as a team and like, start you're in the locker room, you go out, you're on the field and you start that training for the first couple of
Yeah.
times. What was that environment like?
Um, Memphis was a really cool place for me, and I think I'll always have like, even though I didn't stay there all 4 years, I'll always have a very special place for it in my heart. Um, that team, those girls were like the most supportive girls ever. Like the coaches are really hard on you, and which also that's probably what makes a top 15 team is that like you're training very hard, but the teammates had your backs, like trying to like lift you up to keep going and everything. But it was very known like they'll lift you up and cheer for you and everything, but like they're not going to sit down and wait for you either. Like
Mhm.
you if you're behind and like nobody's going to do it for you. So you better come in prepared basically.
Yeah, something I like to kind of relate to some players is like you you definitely have to earn your spot. Like, and I'm not talking about just making the team. I'm talking about you have to earn the respect from your teammates. And once
Yeah,
you
for
have
sure.
that respect, it's like now you're in the fold and they don't let you go. You don't let a
Yeah.
teammate go if they're proving that they're willing to put in the work for the team and for the
Yeah.
cause. And once you get to that point, it's like it just becomes a lot of fun because you guys think that you can conquer the world, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
um
It is fun.
what about like I just remember the first time I got myself into that because I came from a background where we did play we had a really good high school team. We had a really good club team, but then you hit that next level where it's like, man, the we're warming up and it's just like the passes are crisp and
Yeah,
no one's messing around. Like it's not no one's just chasing a ball all over the place. It's like
right.
very focused. To me, I can remember that one of those first moments was like I was training with Detroit City and I just felt like, oh my goodness, I'm home. Like this
Yeah,
is
I totally get
I'm finally around players who care. They want to be here. And I at that time I was coming in, I'm a third string goalie. I'm on game day, I'm lucky if I get called up to hand out water bottles and towels.
it.
But I just felt like I'm here. I want it. Like
Yeah,
I want to earn my minutes because I'm around a bunch of players who they're just you can tell that these players are of a different caliber and a different mindset. Would you say that you kind of experienced the same thing, or did you just kind of some players aren't very like I was kind of awestruck by it, I guess, a little bit.
yeah.
It felt different. Some players just walk in there and they're like, yeah, I don't whatever. I'm just here to play soccer. Where did you fall on that?
That was actually like the main reason I didn't want to leave and transfer out of Memphis was that like I loved how committed everybody was and how much everybody wanted to be there. Like it was no joke, like it was live, sleep, breathe soccer.
Hmm.
But then also like obviously we had our fun too. But
Sure.
like when you're at practice and
Hmm.
like you're doing it and like everybody was constantly like even at the college level you're putting in extra work like we would stay like an hour after practice a lot of times just to put in extra work and try to get better and it's like the entire team were to do it and the only reason why you might not be staying after practice is because you have class um, so that was I definitely had a similar experience to that um, but I also feel like I was a little bit exposed to that before too, because my DA team in Grand Rapids that had a lot of like really great players on it too. So like I did see what like a committed soccer team looked like too.
Sure. Cool. Um, all right, let's bounce to there for a second. You're in northern Michigan, you live in Charlevoix, and you have to go seek out a higher brand of soccer. Your family
Mhm.
decided that what you're gonna go try out for a team in Grand Rapids so that you can go do that. That's those are the types of things that I don't think you fully appreciate until you're a little bit outside of your career and you realize the sacrifice that the entire family makes for a player
Yeah.
at that point, right? So
Yeah.
like how often were you traveling to Grand Rapids to be a part of that team?
So I actually tried out for Michigan Hawks and Midwest United. And I had to choose between the two teams and if I went to Michigan Hawks, I was going to go live with my aunt in Detroit,
Hmm.
and that was going to be my senior year. So I
Okay.
was going to senior year at a whole new school um, for that exposure. Or I could go to Midwest United, and thankfully the Charlevoix allowed me to go to school 3 days a week, and I did 2 days online, and it was my senior year, so it was probably it. I don't think this would always be the case for everybody. So I did 2 days online, but I took college classes. So that's where when it made sense because I was senior. So I
Hmm.
took college classes through NCMC, and I'd go to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think was our practice schedule. And I would leave school. So it was like 2.5 days, I guess, senior year. I'd leave school halfway through Tuesday, drive down for practice. And I would normally carpool with another girl from Traverse City too.
Hmm.
So that was very helpful. Um, I'd go down, and then Wednesday, my sister lived in Grand Rapids, so that was also very convenient. I'd stay with her in Grand Rapids for Wednesday practice. And then Thursday, after practice, I would drive home to make school Friday.
Okay.
Uh, but that was an extreme commitment too, and it was definitely different because also like on these downstate teams, for the most part, a lot of these girls have been playing together since they were 8 years old, and they know the coaches, they know the program, and it's sometimes really hard to like put yourself in that position and be the new person on the block that nobody really knows, but it ends up working out in the end. But you do have to make quite a big sacrifice
Sure.
for that.
Sure. Do you think you would have been prepared for the environment had you not put yourself in a more competitive environment?
I think it was a bit humbling, actually. I think that because I wasn't a starter on this team, and um, I mean, I didn't know many girls well. Like, I obviously got to know them, but I was like, I'm not a shy person, but I was
Hmm.
kind of shy in that environment, I would say. So, like, this is, I remember we went down to a showcase. Majority of the team was already committed to schools, and this was in Florida. And this showcase has like every single Division I college coach was almost there. And I played 2 minutes the entire weekend.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that is humbling.
Yeah, so that was quite frustrating, but
Sure.
it was, I think like just kind of like the cutthroatness
Yeah.
was, I always was like knowing of it. I knew this was like a thing and everything,
Hmm.
but like it's also hard to experience
How
sometimes
do
yourself.
you respond to something like that then?
That's like an example of like control the controllables, I guess, and it's
Uh-huh.
hard. Like it's it's not always um your fault that you're not being played. Um but I guess there's always room to learn more, and like even like we come back to the formation thing. Like I wouldn't say when I was on that team that I actually fully understood my role. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like even watching more soccer games,
Sure.
it like as easy as that, and like picking out a player and actually understanding their movements and stuff, which
Hmm.
sometimes I probably should have watched more soccer games, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like
that's a big one. It's another thing that I try to tell a lot of players here. Like, you don't have to sit down and watch a full match if you don't really want to, but I
yeah,
would recommend sitting down and watching a half, and then
yeah,
don't just watch the highlights.
yeah,
Watch the movement in between. Watch
yeah.
a big topic right now at Northsport with a few athletes is just scanning the field. Like, you need to pick your head up and you need to
Head on a
understand.
swivel.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to understand the environment in front of you in order to make the right decisions. And that is going
Yeah,
to change rapidly. And so, we'll pop on a part of a soccer game and we'll just pick out one player and we'll count how many times inside of like 30 seconds that they peek over their shoulder, peek over their shoulder, peek over their shoulder. And
Yeah.
it's if you can pick up on those little things, gives you something to emulate, you know?
Well, you have to like think about what you're going to do with the ball when you receive it before you receive the ball. Like you have to always be one step ahead so then you can um like I mean faster play. Like that's
Sure,
what it comes down to.
sure,
Watching even your own film, like watching yourself play, I think is a huge thing because like sometimes like I remember I'd be like, why did I do that? Or I'll be like, um, what was the better option here? And like it's not necessarily to like cut yourself down, it's just like learning from your mistakes and being like, okay, well, this option was here, but I chose this, and like, was this really the right option? And it's not necessarily being like, oh, I did everything so bad, but it's like maybe pick up your head next time and you'll be able to see a clear game.
sure. How much of your training um, in at Memphis or at Central, how much of your team time was spent reviewing film?
At Central, so it kind of like both schools did it, but I think that there was different seasons where we did more of it, I guess.
Okay.
Um, I remember I think it was junior and senior year more. We did have a one-on-one coaches meeting every single week, and so at Central we had three different coaches, and you'd plan a meeting with whatever one you were assigned, and then normally you would be like, okay, this is what I did good in the game, this is what I did bad, and then you would like go over your film and like you would have to go into your own like huddle account and pick out your like highlights and lowlights basically, and then you would talk about them with the coaches. And I always thought it was funny because sometimes you pick out a highlight and you'd be like, this looked so good. And then the coach would be like, you should have done this better. And I was like, huh, damn. Like, I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, I think we went over it like I would say weekly for sure.
Awesome. So I think that you've already kind of alluded to it, but one of the follow-up questions I have is how much time did you spend watching film on yourself versus watching film of opponents to prepare for a match?
We would watch film of opponents every single match. We would every single game we had, we would have a meeting, um, either the day before the game or the day of the game, and we would just like, well, actually, we would prepare the entire week for the next match, and be like, this is what they like to do, and this is how we're gonna stop this. Like, or like if they're really good at counterattacks, like there's normally a specific counterattack that works better for a team,
Mhm.
and so like we'll be like, we're gonna stop it by doing this, or like they're they like to play their right winger or something. So we're going to purposely cut off that passing lane and make sure she can't get the ball. So we have to force them down the left side. And so we'll practice that throughout the week, but then we like specifically will watch film on them either the day of or the day before.
Sure. So really, really understanding your battle plan, having a full team set up and on the same page for executing the battle plan.
Yeah,
Um,
normally we have starters like so the starters would be the main ones or starters or like people who normally would get subbed in early
mhm,
on. They would be the one like executing the plan, but then we'd have the people who are fighting for the starting position. They would be acting as if they were the other team.
mhm.
So we would like literally practice their plans.
Yeah, so that's a interesting one too. Players, I think some players can get really caught up in where their standing on a team is,
hmm
um, without fully appreciating that every single player has a role on a team, and without that entire roster, that
hmm
plan can fall apart.
Yeah.
And did you did you ever find yourself not on that side of the field that was starting and
Yeah.
you had to play the opponent?
Yeah.
Um,
So especially springtime going because normally it's fall soccer for NCAA soccer,
mhm,
but so it's a fall season is what I'm trying to get at. But since it was COVID, my freshman year, we were spring and it was only 8 games. And I basically like we played the entire fall. I might have decided I was transferring before the season even started. I'm not positive about that. But the no, I definitely didn't decide that then. Anyways, they would have like since I'm a freshman and I was not a starter there or anything, so like I'm on the bench and they would have us be the other team basically, and we would like practice what the other team would do to like push the starters to like figure that out.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of better words for this, but
No, to have a
and I
better
think
understanding of the game plan that you guys set up, right? Like,
yeah, and I think that that was a definitely at Memphis that was very pushed into everybody's brains that like everybody has a role even if you're not on the field. Like
hmm
and even if you're not on the field, you're on the sidelines and you're being loud and you're like you're not just like talking and having a conversation next to your buddy or anything. Like you're locked into this game and like if they're calling you to play, you're ready like right
hmm
away. Like I think we warmed up like every 15 minutes if you were
hmm
on the bench, just in case like
Sure.
grab somebody.
Yep. Why did you transfer to Central? Why did you go from Memphis to Central?
It was honestly just a scholarship thing.
Okay.
I probably would have stayed. They gave me a full ride, so like I
Okay.
couldn't say no to Central. So when I decided to transfer, you go into a transfer portal, and this is like another, which is kind of new, I think, too, to NCAA soccer is I think it happened my freshman year is when they decided to give a free transfer, everybody gets one free transfer, and you don't have to sit out the next year. So like if you wanted to play at like a D2 school, or and that's where you got your first offer or anything, like honestly take it because if you can shine at a D2 school, you're most likely could get picked up by a Division 1 school.
hmm
Um, but anyways, I was coming from Memphis, so that was a very like well-known soccer school. And I think my first email came from Central Michigan. I'm not positive on that, but anyways, you get put into the transfer portal. All they have is your name. It sounds like I don't really know what it is, but it sounds like they have your name and your position and probably your contact information. And then like since you're on a college sports team, they can look you up and your roster spot and everything's
hmm
right there. But so I was emailing coaches still, but I actually got a lot of emails too. And Central was one of them that they reached out to me and um, they offered me the full ride. And then I wanted a scholarship. So I was like, I'm taking this, but I didn't take it right away. I was talking to some other schools first because I just was, I mean, like a normal person, you're going to see all your
Sure.
options.
Sure.
Um, and I think it took me like 2 weeks to accept it. And then I was there in the fall,
Was there
upcoming fall.
something about being a little bit closer to home that helped guide that decision?
Yeah, I mean, home's never been something that I'm like, oh, I have to be close to home.
Sure.
Um,
As you're in
but
Montana right now.
yeah, but I did really appreciate that my dad could come to all my games,
hmm
and that was really special to me. And I never take that back. Like I think we took a selfie after every single game.
Aw,
So
that's
there's
awesome.
like there's like games where we lost and like there was one I was really mad about and I had a tear in my eye. And like you can see that like I'm just so mad about it. But yeah, so I like one of the first schools I looked at was Marquette University and that's where I also had my first that was my first like college game I got into. So and my dad was there, so that was cool.
Nice. I don't know if I'm going to put this in or not, but
Good.
um, having, the reason that I am doing what I'm doing here with Northsport in the area is, well, first, when I moved up here, I was ready to basically just shove soccer aside and just live a life in beautiful northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Um, I happened to move in next door to a family that had some youth soccer players, and I kind of got roped into, coaching on the youth side of things, and then from there met your dad,
Yeah.
met Glenn, got involved with the high school stuff, and kind of things took off a little bit from there. But one of the big things is that I asked, okay, so where do we go in the winter? And thinking that there was maybe
Somewhere.
a facility or something around
Yeah.
here that we would go to, and everyone just kind of looked at me and they were like, well, you play basketball or you play volleyball or do
Mhm.
one of those other sports that you play
Yeah.
inside and you just kind of forget about that soccer even exists until the sun comes back out,
Mhm.
which we know up here in the the high school girls season is so hard. Your preseason starts in March, and you
There's
know
snow on the ground.
there's still snow on the ground, and you're getting your first couple of games. Like we had an ice storm here to begin our season this
Yeah.
past year, and now all of a sudden you're already 4 games behind before you can actually go out in the field and play. Um, so that's what started things for me to bring something indoors here to get players training.
Yeah.
But then it was more than that. It's a passion to help players who do have that goal of I want to play at the next level, or I want to be one of the better players on my high school team, who
Yeah.
want to put in the extra work. We've worked a little bit together, not a
Hmm.
lot, but just before you were getting ready to go to Maine, and I guess if I was going to ask you to maybe make a plug for North Sport and why
Yeah.
why players around here, instead of having to go to Grand Rapids, which isn't doable for every family,
Yeah. No, it's tough.
why why would a player um, maybe want to come to Northsport and get some training at Northsport instead? Do you think that there'd be value there to helping players bridge the gap between what is missing in Northern Michigan soccer to help them get to that next level?
Yeah, I think the when I did train with Northsport, I was first of all very impressed. It was like the workouts that we were doing, even like everything had such purpose, I felt like. And my legs were as jello as they are after like a hard college practice. And we were only doing that for like an hour maybe is when we would train together. So I think there's a lot of benefits of going to Northsport, and it's not even just like the convenience or anything because like you can go play on a Grand Rapids team, but like what I was saying, I don't think I that was more me going to Grand Rapids was more to be like, hey, I'm playing at this high level, look at me,
Mhm.
than um being like I'm a star at this high level. So my practices were good. I didn't honestly like I got a decent amount of playing time going down there, but I really didn't as much as you probably would have thought I was getting. But so the individual practicing, like why would you want to drive all the way to Grand Rapids just to get individual touches in? And like even when you think about Northsport as in like the field conditions, like that the turf that you have in, like that's the turf or the atmosphere that you're gonna play on at a college level. Like
Mhm.
it's gonna be a groomed field. And it's gonna help you like tighten up your touches and little things like that. It's just like if you're going over film and everything, that's something that you can go over film all you want, but it's nice to have another eye on yourself too. Like somebody who actually knows what they're doing is what I'm trying to get at.
Sure. So just so you know, going over film is actually something that I've introduced to Northsport as well. So
Yeah,
now you're a player that your dad's been taking a bunch of iPhone, videos and that kind of thing.
yeah,
And we're adding that to the training regiment now, so we can go through film on a day that we can't physically be in the same space, and then the next
yeah,
time we train together, now we get to have a little bit more of a pointed training session and you
yeah,
know, go over scanning, go over that all important first touch and that settling
yeah.
touch, and figure those things out. Um, Okay, yeah, I guess I've had you on the hook now for a little over an hour. So,
Oh, that's really
is there anything that you think is worth sharing to players out here? Anything else that you think that they
mm,
need to know about you and your playing days, or talk about Maine for a little bit, right? Let's talk about that. So,
okay. So I went to actually, so what I did in Maine is the same thing that I've done in Michigan too. So um, it's summer soccer basically for college athletes, and it's normally higher D2 players and higher Division 1, I would say, but they do call it semi-pro. Um, so it's kind of how you want to look at it. I don't no normally refer to it as semi-pro because for me, like that was more to stay in shape during soccer season. I mean, stay in shape for soccer season the following fall. And then, but so I played for Midwest United. There, I'm trying to think of what leagues we were in. Sorry, because there's so many different leagues. Okay, I played UWS for Midwest United going into my sophomore year. And then I played UWS for Cap City out of Lansing going into my junior year. And then I didn't play summer soccer in going into my senior year because I just didn't find it as beneficial. I thought that it was probably more it would be better if I just like worked on myself rather than making this commitment to drive and like it's to a certain point where I'm driving more than I'm playing
Mhm.
and it's kind of like why are we driving that far
Sure,
basically.
sure.
So I actually was probably in my best shape ever my senior year, but that's also just kind of like that's another location thing like where you live and like I mean if you're
So
living
if
in your
Northsport was around, you would have been training with Northsport during that time. Is
yeah.
that what you're saying?
100%, I would have totally taken North Sport over um, a summer soccer team. Even it doesn't even matter who's playing on the soccer team. I just think it's like it's so individualized and it's like actually getting to work on your game rather than working with a team that like I mean it's cool to win a summer league, but at the end of the day you care more probably about your college team winning.
Sure.
Um, and then I went to Maine to finish out basically my soccer career. But I also went there because I was going to get filmed to possibly play pro overseas, which I didn't end up doing. But I went to Maine to like either end my soccer career or get some good shots of me actually playing to keep playing soccer past that. And that was a cool experience too. But yeah,
Cool. All right.
that's that.
Nice.